Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of Down the Middle. Let me just make sure I didn't screw this up again. Yes, we should be good. Should be. Should being the operative word. Just gonna do a quick check, make sure again, because if anybody can ever screw something up, it is me. But while we're waiting on this to be checked, this podcast is brought to you this week by the Goosebumps Crew podcast, our friends, fellow nerds, and by Casa de la Zissa, Policia Musica. I believe I'm pronouncing that right, Peter. If I messed that up, I apologize, but in all fairness, it's your fault for making it so long. We will talk about both of those at various points in the episode, but for now, as you read by the title, which first of all, Hakeem, can you throw words? Okay, I'm plenty loud enough. Can you say anything for me?
Yeah, is my camera still stop or something?
No.
Oh, it didn't? Oh, okay. It's weird. On my end, it's like it's stop or something, you know.
Okay, that's weird. Okay, now it finally doesn't look grainy.
Is my camera still stop or something?
I am significantly louder than you, though. So, for the sake of our fans' ears, I'm going to remedy that really quick.
I could turn my mic up if need be.
Turn yours up a bit, and we'll get even here.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now it finally doesn't look grainy.
All right, how about now?
I am significantly louder than you, though. So, for the sake of our fans' ears, I'm going to remedy that really quick.
I could turn my mic up.
Wow, there's a hell of a delay. I'm just waiting. We'll get even here.
All right, how about now?
Okay, yep, I think we're even. Definitely should have gone that long without talking. Oh, hang on. Now I think we're even. Anyway, if one of us is way too loud, just let us know and we'll remedy that. But anyway, we're gonna talk about some wrestling. But first, I noticed this as you signed on. Is that Vince? That's Vince McMahon behind you?
Yeah, it's animation of him.
I love it.
I thought about it
Although
from the. I saw the documentary.
I've not watched any of it yet,
Yeah, the
honestly.
Netflix. Oh, honestly, it's pretty much stuff you already knew. It's only get really good to the last episode. Like, I think it's like 6 episodes. Like 1 through 5 is pretty much a rehash of the history and a little bit of him thrown in, like his the way he grew up and stuff like that. But it's nothing new. I didn't learn from it. The last part was like the most interesting part.
Well, I can't see it being too different because it's on Netflix, correct?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and Raw is coming to Netflix next year, so I'm sure they're not gonna go anywhere too
Oh yeah.
controversial.
Mhm.
But although I think the move to Netflix, I do think you're gonna start seeing F bombs. I don't think they're gonna go full ECW, but it's gonna be able we're gonna be able to have people cutting promos that are gonna say you're a piece of shit instead of you're a piece of trash, and they're gonna be able to talk
Yeah,
like adults, you
yeah, I
know?
definitely think so.
Oh, I know. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming. Well, because they're no longer at that point under the direct
Hmm.
jurisdiction of the FCC. As of right now, obviously the FCC is trying like mad to
Oh
have
yeah.
jurisdiction on streaming. But the
Yeah, I
thing of it
wasn't even thinking
is,
about that.
well, but when you pay for a premium service, you're not under the jurisdiction of the FCC because it's not public. It's not public television. So
Uh-huh.
they can they can
Yeah,
suck
that's
it.
true. Yeah, yeah. That was a big part of it, of the documentary.
I do love the fact because like when you go back and watch the I think it was in 2006 they did the DX DVD documentary, and Vince is sitting there. He's like, well, the audience loved DX, so I decided I was going to love DX. And it's like, that's not exactly how it happened. I mean,
Uh-huh.
there was a lot more resistance on your part. And had it not been Shawn Michaels, it would have never happened. So, I mean, Vince likes to say he listens to the
Yeah.
audience, but I think we've seen over the years that's not entirely true. It is when the audience has him over a barrel, and even then, sometimes he's
Yeah, that
still,
was part of what they were saying too. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Even then he'll still try.
yeah. Ba-da-ba-ba-da, Vince. It's very apropos because I upload, and this was somewhat random. I uploaded a short today on the channel about how much better everything is in the post Vince era. And that's so
Uh-huh.
demonstrably true. Just, I mean, across the board. I mean, even premium live event attendance and
Uh-huh.
viewership. It's everything's better. And I'm one of those weird people,
Yeah.
th- thanks to thanks to Jim Cornette. So Vince gets a lot of credit for growing wrestling, and that's kind of true. It depends on how you look at it, I think. And in terms of making one product nationwide, yes. I think it was going that direction anyway, though, with the advent of cable television. I think he sped the process up by probably about 10 years or so. But I'll be honest, I think looking in hindsight, as far as the business of pro wrestling, I think Vince did more harm than good.
Uh-huh.
I mean, see Doink
I can see that.
and the gobbledygooker and
Oh, yeah.
but
Yeah.
to be fair, it is thanks in large part to Vince that we have
Yeah.
things like The Undertaker, that we have Shawn Michaels as we know him, certainly that we have Triple H, because otherwise we would have had Terra Ryzing. And
Yeah.
so you got your
Stone Cold
DX, Stone
and
Cold,
stuff like
yeah.
that.
Yeah. And to an extent, I suppose you can thank Vince for even the stuff in WCW because it was directly to compete with Vince. So it's like I wouldn't go back and change history,
Oh,
but
yeah.
but I think that if given the choice to let the territory system ride into the glory days of cable, I think wrestling as a whole would have been better. But the caveat would be not everyone would get to see everything. So it's not like today,
Yeah,
where
that's true.
today I think you honestly could go back to the territory system because streaming makes it so a small promotion in Japan can have viewership all over the world for a minimal
Hmm.
fee. And yeah, I mean, so I think, and for a while there, which gets into our main topic, for a while there, it honestly looked like it was going to go back to sort of that system, not so much territories, but separate promotions and wrestling fans just being able to pick and choose what they want, like a wrestling buffet. Um, so
Uh-huh.
I constantly say, and I'm biased, but as far as I can see it, the glory days of pro wrestling thus far have been from about the years of 2014 to 2019.
For me, it was like, well, honestly, the Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression era, and a little bit after that, when I actually got to see wrestling for what it was, and not so much like the gimmicks. They were using their real names and stuff like that. I like that one the most.
Yeah, and the only reason I picked that as my glory days is because at that time there were, I think, prior, other than the territory days, obviously, I think that was when you had the most
Uh-huh.
what I would call like major promotions available to a wrestling audience at one time because obviously you had WWE, you had Ring of Honor, which still had a TV deal at the time. They had a partnership with New Japan. They had Rev Pro, and then I think What Culture Wrestling was around then in the UK, both of them, and then various smaller promotions. But I think those are the two big ones.
Oh yeah,
And then
I
you,
forget
you
about them.
and you still
Yeah,
have
yeah.
CMLL and AAA in Mexico, but then you had Lucha Underground for a time period of 4 years. Oh, so actually, yeah, that would have been right in that time because I think their last season was 2018 or 2019. And
Yeah, 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 it was.
you had kind of the growth of the Joshi, which I never really got into, but it existed. And that was the beautiful part is the fact that
Hmm.
you had all these options. TNA was still around. It was Impact back then, but it was there. NWA had
Yeah.
gotten back on TV during that time. I think that was in 2016 or 2017. So, I mean,
Okay.
there was so much wrestling, and the thing was, if one of them sucked, you didn't really have to tolerate bad wrestling because if WWE sucked,
Yeah,
and that was the glory days of NXT too. So it's like main WWE programming sucked, but NXT was awesome. So it was
it was
great.
amazing. Yeah,
It
I
was it
still
was
miss
so good.
those days.
It was so good. But the main point there, and going back to the question, then AEW came along, and I remember how excited I was. Heck, I was excited enough for All In, the first one.
Oh yeah,
And then they
same.
announced AEW on New Year's Eve of 20, was that 20, well, technically it would have been the start of 2019. So New Year's Eve, January 1st, 2019.
Yeah.
They announced All Elite Wrestling, and everybody was like, oh shit. And now, of course, should have listened to Corny. Good old Jim Cornette. Should have listened to him because he was saying very early on that it was going to be a joke. And actually, something I can't believe I forgot this because I was asked you if you had any ideas. What I wanted to do, maybe we can do this next time. I want to go back and rewatch the first Double or Nothing
Uh-huh.
and actually like really evaluate it
Oh yeah, that'll be cool.
without the rose-colored glasses
Uh-huh.
because I watched it when I watched it I was like this is the greatest thing ever. I have a sneaking suspicion that with the novelty worn off, I think we'll be
Uh-huh.
able to see some of the symptoms of what would be to come in that very first pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, I think it's some parts would be like, oh, that's a little weird. I hope they don't do that again. And like they contain.
I think we'll see some things that'll be very familiar.
But
I'll
yeah.
I'll put it that way. And not to say
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure. But
not to say early AEW was bad. I'm just saying I think we'll see some of the things that we've now become unfortunately used to seeing. I think we'll see um that they go back quite a ways. Um
yeah.
but it was also new back then. It was exciting and John Moxley came and we never thought we'd see that, even though people were predicting it, but that's what I mean. It
Yeah.
was such an exciting time. I mean, like think about this. Rey Mysterio went to Lucha Underground. Chris Jericho went to New Japan when he said he would never wrestle anywhere else. And I know he did say in
Hmm.
the United States, but everybody took it as he would never wrestle for anybody other than
Yeah.
Vince McMahon. You know, you had all kinds of crazy cross promotion happening in New Japan at the time, New Japan Ring of Honor. Um, you had the likes of, you know,
Yeah.
Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, people like that, DIY showing up in NXT um, all the time. Shinsuke going to NXT at the time. Hell, in that time, AJ went to New Japan and then WWE. I mean, this was exciting shit. It was very, very
Yeah.
exciting. And unfortunately, I think AEW, even though they had the best of intentions, I think they killed that momentum inadvertently.
Uh-huh.
I think they killed
Yeah, yeah.
that
'Cause it felt
that
like it was a change coming.
not even so much. It felt like they killed because the thing that all these other promotions had in common is they knew that at standalone they were never going to compete with WWE in the United States. Like New Japan obviously competes with WWE in Japan, and they're probably, I'd say that they might be the more popular promotion in
Mhm.
Japan. But as far as the United States and the rest of the world is concerned, on a global scale, no single promotion is going to compete with WWE. However, that doesn't mean they can't carve out a nice little slice for themselves and give the fans what they want, make some money, make the pay scale go up because New Japan was doing that before AEW was
Yeah.
even a thing. You know, AJ went to New Japan
Mm.
because TNA was going to give him a pay cut. That's why he left. So,
I didn't even know. I thought he's left because to change.
nope.
Okay.
Nope. AJ was going to take a pay cut, or he was going to have to take a pay cut to renew his contract. And he said, hell no. I busted my butt.
Uh-huh.
It's actually a
I
really
don't
good.
blame him.
It's no, I don't either. Hell, he was there for what? But by that time, he was there for what? 11
Yeah.
years, over a decade.
Yeah.
And I mean,
It didn't seem
literally,
like that, but he was.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, literally put his body on the line
Hmm.
multiple times. And I mean, we love AJ. Who doesn't love AJ Styles? Probably TNA, but
He really is phenomenal.
he really is. That's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, that name jives, that tracks. Um, but there was this growing sort of
Yeah.
groundswell that felt like a bunch of indies, even though they weren't indies. But the thing is, even during that time, independent wrestling was growing again. Like there were a bunch of local promotions sprouting up all over the place, and they were all, I don't know that they were all making money, but some of them had to have been because they kept doing it. And
Yeah.
they weren't shitty indies. Like there were a couple of indie promotions relatively close to me in Indianapolis, and I mean, they were putting on good shows. And I don't mean good for indie. I mean, they were just putting on good wrestling shows.
Hmm.
And AEW came along and almost became, I mean, pretty much became a second WWE, even though they're not even, but it essentially just became a second WWE
Hmm.
because they swallowed up all the other talent, you know? And now I feel like we're kind of sort of, it feels kind of like we're back in the Monday Night Wars in the sense that you got two big companies as opposed to one big and a bunch of little ones, smaller ones. And I think that wrestling as a whole,
Uh-huh.
both in terms of the television product, well, I take that back because WWE notwithstanding, because WWE is turning out great television, which is ironic because I do think AEW made wrestling better in the sense that WWE had to wake up a bit and say, okay,
Yeah,
we
as
can't,
yeah, competition. Yeah.
yeah, we
Yeah, make a
can't.
change.
What ironically, AEW got worse, but yeah, WWE certainly
Yeah.
woke up.
Yeah,
And the
that's what
thing
I'm
is,
hoping for, a change for AEW for the better. Hopefully,
well, but you
if
know
Shane
what?
comes in.
I mean, I'll be honest. At first, I didn't buy that, but
Hmm.
this is all very familiar. Because this is, and I'm not criticizing it because I actually think it is brilliant. Like I said, I want to be a
Hmm.
fan of the Young Bucks because they are smart. I'm just disappointed in what I've been seeing because I know they're better than this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
But again, back in that sort of indie era, which I dubbed it the indie era for two reasons. One, because the indies were actually
Oh, yeah.
growing, and
Uh huh.
WWE was getting a bunch, particularly in NXT, but WWE was bringing in a bunch of indie guys. I
They
mean,
are.
yeah, I dubbed that the indie era. It's the between the PG era and whatever we're in now, which I mean, I think you could honestly call it the elite era because AEW sparked
Yeah.
that change and made,
Hmm.
ironically, made um, WWE, you know, elite again. They made them
Uh huh.
must see television, which I say having not watched wrestling for a couple months. I know, bad Jake, but listen, we've got 10 podcasts on the network now, and there's more coming, and I'm an
Yeah, I
idiot.
know you're everywhere.
I'm stupid. I've signed up for a lot more shit than I thought I was, but I promise you, I'm gonna start being good and watch more wrestling. But I never did want this to be like a wrestling news podcast either, because honestly,
Uh-huh.
you can get that 100 of other places. I really wanted
Yeah,
this to
that's true.
be like not so much, but it was just we kind of fell into that for a minute just because stuff kept happening. Cool shit
Yeah.
kept happening.
Hmm.
But I did want this to be more of like a not so much a retrospective, but like more or less a topical, not current events, but like we pick a topic and that's what we talk about, kind of like what we're doing tonight.
Exactly.
And it's going to branch,
Hmm.
it's going to branch out to different areas. But so episodes like next week where we're going to watch an older pay-per-view and kind of do a blow by blow and be like, man, this was not as good as I remember. Or you know what? This
Yeah.
was actually really
It's
good.
still. Hmm.
Like this still holds up and it's great. It's fantastic.
I
Um,
think it might, but I think there's some parts of it where you can see like, oh, that's why they're the way
well,
they are now.
because I'm also not remembering, which we might have to go back just to remind everybody that yes, we are. we want to be AEW fans. We're just criticizing what they're doing with the product now because we've seen better. We could also do the first Revolution, which is one of my favorite
Oh,
pay-per-views of all time
hmm
because it was so good. And the tag match between Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, and the Young Bucks is legit one of the best matches I've ever seen. It was so good
yeah.
to this day. Hell, even the Orange Cassidy Pac match was good. It's just the character's dumb. But they actually did a storyline with it in that one. So the match
Yeah,
still
yeah.
holds up. It's silly,
Hmm.
but it worked because they worked with the character they created, you know? I just dropped something. Oh well, doesn't matter. But I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you think that wrestling is better now thanks to AEW?
I say it's better because it's competition, and it's better because it's another place where people could go. Besides WWE, they can make WWE money without being in WWE.
Yeah,
Like,
that's to me
you
that might
know,
have been the second biggest thing is the fact that, to kind of paraphrase CM Punk, I'm always happy when the boys can make more money. And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I
I
want
would say also because of health too. Like, at first I would say because of health, but not so much now. The way they do stupid stunts and get injured, but
well, and so here's the other thing, and this is an influence
mhm.
people may not know about. So WWE has reduced their house show schedule, which is funny
Okay,
because I was saying before AEW was official. I'm sorry, it was official, but it was still like they hadn't had their broadcast yet, and there were a lot of rumors floating around. I
yeah,
was I was saying very early on this podcast, I said I don't understand why somebody doesn't in the 2020s in today's world.
uh-huh.
I don't understand why somebody doesn't make a wrestling promotion that is focused on television and not the house shows because I would think that the television revenue would overshadow the potential house show revenue when you actually break
That's
down
what
the
I always thought.
costs.
I
But when
always
you
thought that.
actually,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
when you break down the costs of what it takes, the travel, the logistics, the building rentals, the risk of you not filling up the buildings for a house show, because let's face it, house shows are generally speaking usually not very good because nothing happens because it's not on TV. It's very
Yeah.
rare that you see a consequential house show, and
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
I don't want to go to them. Like I'm not interested. What I'd rather see, and AEW, I think, at least has this mentality. So your wrestlers, if they're only wrestling once or twice a week, they can actually afford to be more athletic in the ring. Maybe not every week, but it's much less taxing compared to doing like 4 days on the road and then a TV,
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, even just the lesser travel makes that easier on them. So I was saying, and AEW did just that, and I went, well, good. I guess somebody's
Uh-huh.
watching the show because that's exactly what they did. AEW's business model is, well, at least in theory, is based on the television. Um,
That's smart.
well, except they're not, which apparently they did get a renewal, so that's good news. That's very good news.
Hmm.
Um, I'll be honest, I don't know how the fuck they did it.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it was money or
Oh no.
bribe
Well,
or
okay,
something.
let me rephrase. I'm not surprised they got renewed, but apparently they're getting more money.
Oh, I'm
Eh,
surprised about that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not surprised because here's the thing for TNT and TBS, the ratings are low compared to WWE, but they're still decent ratings for that network.
Yeah.
They're still good. They're still bringing in advertising dollars. So I'm sure Warner Brothers Discovery was thrilled, but I maintain that they need to. I personally, I think they should move all the shows onto Max, but at the very least, they need to
Mhm.
move Ring of Honor. They need to give Ring of Honor a television show
Oh yeah, yeah,
on Max.
definitely.
Just put it on Max. It logistically it would be so easy, and you will actually get people who don't have cable will watch Ring of Honor, and they can keep quasi up to date with AEW storylines if you mention them on. Ring of Honor can be nothing more than a plug for the television show and the pay per views.
Uh-huh.
as far as their marketing is concerned. Like obviously you want to put good wrestling so people watch it, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no.
It's Ring of Honor being on streaming could be a gateway for people who don't have cable to maybe somehow find a way to, you know, get.
Yeah. To be honest, they can even put it on YouTube, like they did with Dark. Like that's how I watched Dark, just because it was on YouTube, it's free, and that's how I watched it. Cause like no one's watching it. Like Athena, I think she's became like the ROH longest women's uh champion,
Yeah, nobody knows.
but no one knows.
Nobody knows what.
It's
And well,
like
and that's why I suggested Max in lieu of YouTube because believe it or not,
yeah.
your potential viewership might be not necessarily bigger, but it will generate more money because
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Max has ads,
Oh
unless
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you pay a
Absolutely.
premium to not have ads. But either way, they're bringing in revenue for Warner Brothers Discovery
Hmm.
and AEW. Ring of Honor is contributing to the franchise, and let them do it. It's like put
Yeah.
me in, coach. I'm ready to play.
Yeah.
Ring of Honor is
Yeah.
ready, and especially if they can make the show look and feel different, that's a
Uh-huh.
win-win for everybody because let's say you're kind of sick. Ring of Honor could be AEW's version of NXT in that there
Yeah.
were people that would like, listen, WWE sucks, but this NXT thing is really good and breed some
Yeah.
competition, not like bullying competition, not that Vince McMahon shit, but I mean, what don't you think it would light a fire under the AEW roster's ass? It'd be like, hey guys, I mean, I know they're on streaming, but Ring of Honor brought in more viewers than Collision last week. They did what?
Yeah. And they should. Like if you know,
I mean, they certainly
it's
brought in
really
more
good.
views than Rampage, which again, I still maintain. Okay, guys, I'm going to say it again. Being that AEW now has 3 shows, Rampage should honestly be an exhibition show, kind of like the old school Ring of Honor TV tapings were,
Uh-huh.
in that it's almost an inter promotion cross promotion. So like you'd have, well, when they had the roster separated, that would be where wrestlers from Dynamite and Collision could pair up from time to time. And you can bring people in from Ring of Honor. And then every now and again, you'll have a main event with like a high mid card AEW guy. And every now and again, for a special
Uh-huh.
treat, hell, you can have a main event guy on there. Like, I don't know, bring back the whole wins and losses matter angle. Swerve Strickland loses the title. He's got to get his win loss
Right.
record up. So he's going to wrestle on Collision. And you know what else that does?
Yeah.
And it was genius. And I don't think they realized it was genius. Is okay, they did it with Britt Baker, but I don't think they understood how genius it was when they did that because Britt Baker was appearing on every television show. And you know what happens when you have a wrestler that you're
Oh yeah,
getting
I
ready
remember
to
that.
have
Yeah.
but you know what happens when you have a wrestler who's
Hmm.
getting ready for a championship match and they're on every single television show every night? They get popular.
Yeah. I know people actually know who she is. Well,
Oh,
maybe
imagine
they
that.
did.
Imagine that. And you
Yeah.
say, oh, this person is clawing their way. I'll say her because we're talking about Britt Baker. Britt
Yeah.
Baker, because she wants this title so bad, she knows she has to get her win loss record up. So she's going to the bottom and she's going to claw her way up. Who doesn't get behind that? That's a story as old as time. It predates pro
Hmm.
wrestling, rooting for the underdog. And that's exactly what they did in that angle. That was
Yeah.
so good. It was so good. And
It
then
was. It was the
by the
reason why I like her.
yeah, and then by the time you get to the match, every near fall, it's either oh she almost got it or oh no she's got it. The audience cares.
Uh-huh.
That's why heel champions aren't on TV every week. There's a reason why they do this shit. Because it makes sense. Everybody was getting pissed off at Roman Reigns not defending the title. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's the idea. They want you to root for Cody, who is on TV every week, who is fighting every match he's in is a struggle because he's the underdog. They want you to want him to win so that when he does win, it means something. It's not random. Just like the babyface turn they're going to have Roman Reigns do, he's going to be on TV more often. I guarantee you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure that, especially now.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying because he's doing a face turn. He's going to be cutting
Yep.
promos on Raw. He's going to be wrestling tag matches. He's going to be on TV just about every week, barring anything health related that may happen. But you
Uh-huh.
know, and even then, like if let's say Roman's got to sit out for, I don't mean to make light of this, but it's happened before. Let's say Roman has to sit out for a little while because of his leukemia again.
Uh-huh.
I'll bet you he's gonna do interviews or video promos. Like he won't be there, but he'll be on television,
Yeah. And
especially
they
if
probably
it's
have something pre-taped just in case, if
yeah,
anything.
exactly. So it's like this shit's not complicated, and it's so weird to me because AEW clearly knows how to do it because they've done all this before. I just don't understand why they stopped. You know what I mean? like,
Yeah.
like,
I
do you
wonder was
remember?
someone else booking it beforehand and like now it's only Tony booking it.
But we
I don't
know
know.
we know that because the Elite apparently got. I can't remember when it happened. They apparently got their uh, booking authorities taken away because they kept not booking themselves as the like the main stars that were
Yeah,
winning
yeah.
all the time. Which I
Uh-huh.
understand Tony's mentality in the very beginning, but I mean we've seen the aftermath.
Mhm.
Tony cannot do this by himself, certainly not across three television shows. Even if he was good at this,
Yeah.
that would be too much. And not only that, if the same person's booking all three shows, they all start to feel and look the same.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like you remember
And
Collision's first episode?
yeah, and look at it now.
Well, everybody had the same reaction. They were like, "Holy shit,
Yeah,
that was actually pretty good. I was not expecting
yeah.
that." I was like, "You know what? There is hope. It's a shit time slot, but it's there's hope."
I heard there's going to be another show.
I've heard that too,
I'm
and they're
I'm
still
not too
apparent.
sure it's true or not, but I heard next year is
No,
going to be
no, I've
another show.
I've heard that. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what the hell they're gonna do. What they didn't say though is if, or maybe you can tell me this because I haven't heard. Are there going to be
Uh-huh.
four shows, or there's still going to be three, but it's just going to be a different show?
No, I heard it was going to be additional. So
Oh,
four.
good lord.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. I heard it was
hopefully,
going to be an addition.
hopefully it's Ring of Honor. But I'll be honest. I think. Oh, I heard something about True TV, but it wasn't clear if they were going to do
Oh yeah,
repeats.
yeah, yeah. I
Oh,
heard that too.
maybe
Yeah,
Ring of Honor.
yeah.
I'd be
That'll
okay
be
with
good if
that.
it is. Really. Yeah,
I'd be okay with that. Truly, I,
that'll be
I
an
would be just
improvement.
fine.
Yeah.
Well, at least it gets Ring of Honor, and hopefully, if it's on True TV, I know it's in the same family, but it's not associated like TBS and TNT are together.
Yeah.
I know it's under the same umbrella, but maybe being on True TV, maybe they make Ring of Honor a little bit more realistic sports based like it used to be.
Hmm.
And I think that would be tremendous. I think that'd be great. And give it to somebody else to book for God's sake.
I hope so. They have to.
Give it
They
to
can't keep.
Christopher. Just give it to Christopher Daniels.
Oh yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and see, he's probably I've never met Chris Daniels, but he strikes me as someone who is smart enough to understand that he probably needs a booking committee where he might have the pencil, so to speak, but
Uh-huh.
he's going to have input from other guys because it's always better in a creative process. It's always better to have multiple people. I know some people swear that that's not the case, but even Walt Disney had, you know, a creative team.
Hmm.
Everybody does. Vince McMahon had a creative team. He had the final say, but he had several
Yeah, he still
people.
had. Yeah.
Yeah. Even Dusty had a booking committee.
Yeah, even in NXT, I heard what was Samoa Joe and William Regal was part of the booking team.
Yeah.
So, no.
I just can't wait for all the tell all books to come out.
Oh,
Those are going to be great. But speaking of books, we have our sponsor, the Goosebumps Crew podcast, our friends, and we've got a little something of theirs to share with you.
Greetings, boys and girls. My name is Isaiah Vargas. For over 3 decades, R.L. Stein's Goosebumps has reigned as one of the best selling book series in history, spawning a monster franchise that's lasted since 1992 and spawning a massive fan base. Folks who love to talk about this influential series, and that's where we come in. Join the Goosebumps crew, Nick Shaw, Bjorn Panelik, and myself every week as we dive into the world of Goosebumps and talk about everything from the books, TV shows, movies, video games, merchandise, and so much more. Many like-minded Goosebumps fans and a growing list of special guests join us, so if you want Goosebumps, get with the program. Tune in to the Goosebumps crew every week on YouTube and audio platforms. Become a Goosebumps crew member today. Listen with the lights on.
So those are our friends, the Goosepumps crew. You can check them out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, everywhere you get your podcasts, and also obviously on retamedia.org. They're our good friends, a fellow podcast. You should definitely check them out, especially if you're into 80s, 90s horror and Goosebumps, obviously. You're going to want to check it out. Their most recent episode, they actually got an interview with Catherine Short, who played Sue
Oh, that's cool.
in the episode A Night in Terror Tower. And
Uh-huh.
she's another, actor that they got that doesn't really do a lot of interviews. Definitely check them out, especially if you're into 80s, 90s. So that is exciting. But you know what else is exciting? CM Punk. Sorry, I'm just making sure your audio's on because whenever I.
Is it there?
So that is exciting. But you know what else is exciting? It should be there. CM Punk. Okay, yeah. I don't know. For some reason, I don't have it up all the way, so maybe I just couldn't hear you for some reason. Oh, I know why my computer's dark though, because I have the dumb electricity is necessary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we need it sometimes. I was like, why is my screen so dark? Believe it or not, that's happened before. Then I realized I left my charger at work. That was not a fun night. Anyway, so yeah, I was hoping we'd have more people watch. I know we're not on our regular night though, so hopefully leave it in the
Yeah, yeah.
comments. Leave it in the comments if you think wrestling is better because of AEW. Or honestly, I'd be curious to hear some opinions of people who think that it's worse off now because I don't agree with that, but I think you can make an argument. But see, to my mind, all the bad habits people are talking about already existed prior to AEW.
Yeah.
Because that was all the indie-rific stuff.
Yeah, I would still say it needs improvement. Like
Oh,
both
sure,
sides.
sure.
Like the women's division is like boring. Like on either side.
You
I
know,
don't know
the
why.
the women's division is probably the one area of AEW that I think you can sort of criticize in a vacuum. Because that was all
Yeah.
because they seem to be doing that particularly bad. Oh, sure, sure. Okay, you're good. But yeah, because I mean, the thing is, I made a joke about it, but I'm right.
Uh-huh.
They sign a new, female wrestler. She
Oh yeah,
gets a
yeah.
push.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
She gets a push for about a month or two, and then she just goes down on the mid card. Because what's the example I used not that long ago? Deonna Purrazzo and Thunder Rosa in a pre-show match,
Yeah.
and Deonna
Uh
Purrazzo had only been in the company for like a month or two, 2 months, I think.
mhm.
And I'm just like, well, it was just a joke, Tony. I didn't want you to actually do that.
Look at Chris Statlander. Like she came back like better than ever, but now she's in the pre-show with Willow.
Oh yeah, because it's funny. I was getting ready to argue with you on that one. I'm like, Statlander's a little bit different, but you're right. This go because I know she's had some injuries, so
Yeah, yeah, she
that,
did.
that's kind of notwithstanding. But
But
yeah,
I
you're
really
right.
like her. I do think she's really good, and I
I
think she has the most potential to be like their Ripley
Yeah,
in
but
a way.
the thing of it, yeah, I get what you're saying. And I don't disagree with
Mhm.
it. But again, we have to remember too, AEW's got the problem now of talent outgrowing them. Case in
Yeah.
point, Jade Cargill.
Yeah, the brothers in a way.
I'm
Oh
not
well,
shocked. I'm not shocked by that though. Well, I mean, because like you said, when they came into the company, they weren't a tag team at the time. I mean, they had before,
yeah.
but I don't believe that's what they were doing at the time. And then they came into AEW and sort of became a tag team again.
Uh huh.
I'm making it sound like they were never a tag team. That's not the case. They've tagged all over the place, but
Yeah.
they've been nearly exclusively a tag team, save when Phoenix was injured and Penta was
Hmm.
doing solo singles matches. But it's one of those things. I think that's a tag team where they're both good enough they can tag and do singles and not get stale.
Yeah.
And I think you need to have times where Penta, in particular, but Phoenix is good as a singles guy too. Don't get me wrong, but Penta in
Hmm.
particular, his character is more of a lone wolf anyway.
It is.
So, and I mean, why not have them feud with each other? I've seen them wrestle before. It's incredible.
Hmm.
I mean, don't tell me that a tag team can't feud. We've seen it.
Thousands of
I
times.
mean, how many
It
times?
always happens. It always happens, no matter what the
Yeah,
team is.
it's because it's good shit. I'd say there's
Yeah.
only a handful of tag teams that I would say never break them up, and FTR is one of them. Although, if you were going to do it, they could certainly wrestle in matches.
Oh yeah, I would say FTR and also the Street Profits. To me, if you
No,
break them
see,
up,
well, if you break them up, they're nothing. But I would like to see them beat the crap out of each other and then just never come back.
I'll put it this way. I think if you break them up, Montez will win, or will no, a cell, but the other guy, I forgot his name.
That's that's
I'm not too sure he's going to last that long.
oh my god. Is it, couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, I agree. I think Montez would he'd end up in the lower mid card, but yeah, I mean I think he'd stick around. But yeah,
Yeah,
the other guy,
yeah.
not so much. Maybe he can go to TNA and join Top Dollar. So when's Joe Hendry going to sign his WWE contract? That's what I want to know.
I thought he already did, to be honest. I thought he
I
was
mean,
just waiting out
he may have. I mean,
I,
honestly, he might have.
he's been there for like a while now, like 2, 3 months.
I mean, honestly, what WWE should do at that point is be like, no, no, we'll buy his contract from you,
That's what I thought they was doing, to be honest.
and to sweeten the pot, we'll let you use him for selected dates, but we want him.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And I mean, that's that's got Triple H written all over it because I think Triple H, thank goodness he's in charge, because I think Triple H understands that in order to avoid the WWE PG era, you
Uh-huh.
need to have other companies out there. They don't have to be on your level, but they don't need to be direct not every other wrestling company needs to be direct competition because let's just face
Absolutely.
facts. Well, let's face facts. TNA as it is now, which I'd like to remind everybody, I mean, TNA was a big deal back in the mid
Yeah.
2000s, 2006 specifically when they were on Spike. I mean, they
Hmm.
were a legit number 2. They weren't
Yeah.
quite up to the level of WWE, but I mean they were a legit number 2.
Yeah, they were.
And it was good shit. It was better wrestling. I'm not gonna lie. It was
Hmm.
better at the time.
Hmm.
I'm sorry. They had Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Sting, um, so many the entire X division at that time. And WWE had Ace Steel as Donald Trump wrestling fake Rosie O'Donnell. Which incidentally is the match where the audience legitimately started chanting TNA.
I wish I could have saw that. I wasn't really watching wrestling during that time.
I watched that happen live and I was like,
Oh, that's cool.
oh, oh. Well, our running joke, honestly, because when we were doing weekly wrestling wrap up, which this would have been I started heavily watching wrestling in 2006.
Uh-huh.
This would have been 2007 or 8
Okay.
when we started doing that, and then we did it for 2 years. So anytime between '07 and '09, we were and this was just before the WWE PG era really got into full gear.
Uh-huh.
So we were having fun. It was good shit. And actually, I still have all the episodes. They're actually set to private on my YouTube channel, but I think I don't know
That's good.
if I get enough requests, I think I might put them up here for your
Sure.
enjoyment. Um, so the best part about that show was the first 2 episodes are super serious. Like we're just telling you what happened this week on wrestling, and then we realized it was
Uh-huh.
boring as fuck. So episode 3, we do a complete U-turn and go full bore into comedy, and then by episode
Uh-huh.
4, we actually spoof the old "Don't try this at home" they put in front of their DVD releases at that time.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And from that time, we were just like we saw a spike in viewership. We were like, okay, they want comedy, so we're gonna give them comedy.
Uh-huh.
And it was a lot of fun, but God, it was hard to do because unfortunately at that time, um, SmackDown was on Fridays,
Yeah, I remember.
and we couldn't do the show until after SmackDown. And I worked
Hmm.
on Saturdays, and the show got uploaded on Sundays.
Oh wow, that's a tight
So
schedule.
it was very tight schedule.
Yeah.
And we shot the whole thing in one night every week. So it was, but we never missed. We were never late, and I'm proud of that. Also, there used to be a website which honestly was so much better than YouTube. I doubt you've heard of it, but you can Google it. Did you ever hear Stage Six?
No, I don't
So,
think so.
so are you familiar? I don't know how into like video editing you are at all, but like, have you ever heard the DivX codec?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so DivX made their own streaming site to show
Oh, I,
how,
oh,
yeah,
okay.
to show how good the DivX codec was.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's not now, but at the time
Yeah, yeah, I
at the
remember.
time it was amazing.
Yeah.
But Stage Six was their website, and it was better than YouTube.
Hmm.
It was so good, and we had legit fans there, people that watched the show every week, and it was so much fun. It was a lot of fun. But sadly, Stage Six is no more. Hasn't been for eh, oh, it's been well over a decade. It's probably been 15, 16 years. I miss
I
it.
wonder does it still exist?
Actually, I think it might in a different form, but it pales in comparison to what it was. I mean, it used to
Uh-huh.
be. Used to be how like Daily Motion was actually good back in the day.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Don't get me wrong, I love YouTube, and YouTube's the king right now. YouTube is WWE right now.
It is, but I remember how YouTube used to be. I was on it since it first started, when like 480p was the highest resolution. You know what I'm saying?
480p was, hey man, 480p was serious. That was back when they
Yeah, I
had
know.
upload link limits.
Yeah, exactly. I remember those days.
I love how when you create a new YouTube channel now, after you upload like one video, it notifies you. It's like, congratulations, you can upload videos longer than 10 minutes now, as if this is a thing that people care about
Yeah.
now. It
Hmm.
just doesn't matter. But yeah, Stage Six it's ironic. YouTube was WWE. Stage Six was legitimately like 2006 TNA. Like it wasn't up to YouTube, but
Yeah.
it was a very high quality alternative that in many ways was
Hmm.
better. It's just not as many
It
people knew
sounds so
about it.
familiar. I think I did heard of it, but I don't know. It's been a while.
It was that was back when websites like Stage Six and YouTube were kind of the Wild West because like
Yeah.
I I watched so many TV shows on Stage Six, it's not even funny.
Hmm.
And it was high quality because the DivX codec, man, I mean that was the shit. The episodes look like crap now because obviously they weren't in HD because HD wasn't a thing yet when we were doing
Yeah.
that show.
Then it's just.
Yeah, do you remember when WWE made a big deal about switching to HD?
Yeah,
That when was that? Was that in 2009 or 10? That would have been 2010, I think.
yeah, it had to be towards the end or towards the middle of 2010.
Yeah, I think I remember because that was a time where I was watching every now and again. I was trying to be into it, but I just couldn't because it was so bad. It was
I
when
was
it,
watching, yeah, same reason. That's the same reason why I stopped watching. It wasn't that good. I just cut off completely.
well, I can tell you what made me roll my eyes is when they changed John Cena's move set from the STFU to the STF and from the
Yeah,
FU to the attitude adjustment, and I went, right.
yeah, the AA. Yeah, it's like
It took all the wind out of it because like what you got to understand is those moves were he did those moves to make fun of Brock Lesnar.
yeah.
That was
And
the
now it
whole.
seems like no one even knows that
Nobody
or
knows
remember the
that.
history of it. Yeah,
No, it was the FU to make fun of the F5,
yeah.
and and the STFU was just a middle finger to the STF, which now it's called the STF.
uh,
What was his sixth move of doom? They actually made a big deal about it, about how he's having, and it was something lame like a back fist or something.
the guy.
I can't remember. They made like he made like a big deal about it. He was like, I'm gonna unveil a new move, and I'm like, I can't tell if you're joking or if you're serious, and that
Yeah,
concerns me.
yeah,
Because he was talking about how he'd been like studying martial arts, and I think it was just like a back elbow or a back fist or something, and I was
Oh
just like,
yeah, 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 yeah. It was. It was. I think I forgot what the name of it. It was so silly and stupid.
yeah, and then it just happened, and it was a fucking popcorn fart.
Yeah, yeah,
Poof.
yeah,
I was like, really?
yeah.
This is it? It's like, no, instead of the five knuckle shuffle, I'm actually gonna punch the guy. And I'm like, oh, great. That wasn't underwhelming or anything. Well, he studied, I'll give him credit. He studied a long time to learn that move. And even though we didn't appreciate it, the fact remains he did the work. And you have to do the same thing for music, Hakeem. You do. And that's the dirty little secret that, people don't really want to acknowledge. However, we have a dear friend who can help any musician at any level with that. And you're going to have to listen to him right now. But we like him. Peter, fantastic person. So this is Peter's Musica Collegia. Or anyway, yeah, here we go. Roll the clip.
CDZ Collegia Musica is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. It is a kind of school of music, a concert series, and an agency that promotes the musicians, dedicated artists, and educators who we feature as our performers. The goal of the Collegium is to bring community together through music performance. These performances vary in musical style from classical to jazz, and music from different parts of the world, from India to the Middle East, that'd be like Persia, and Japan, and China. The goal is to also educate us to how music functions not so much as a musical universal language, because there are differences in the way that these languages of music are expressed, but to educate us to be able to be more appreciative not only of the music but the culture it represents. And by doing this, it brings community together.
Yeah,
I'm like, you need
that's
to
what I
get
really
paid.
like.
But yes, so
Uh-huh.
that is Dr. Peter Zissa, whose podcast, Classica Musica, will be debuting next week on YouTube. Check it out. But if you are interested in the nonprofit, all the information is in the description below. Um, sorry, I was gushing about my friend and I completely
Yeah.
lost my train of thought. Oh, where were we? Because yeah, wow, I really derailed there. Oh yeah, we were
Talking
talking
about a
about
lot of
this
things.
the sixth move of doom.
Yeah.
You know what? I say that, and everybody cuts Cena up, but I'd still people still watch him when he wrestles.
Oh yeah, he's
Did you?
still must see TV
Yeah.
in a way.
Did you
He
see
still
that
is.
he did a I don't know what you would call it, an interview or like a video, but he did it with a an older woman from the UK, I believe, and um he was basically saying like what I do is actually not that. I don't think he said it wasn't difficult. I think he said it wasn't that complex. I can't remember what he said, so don't quote me. But basically,
Uh-huh.
she's like, "Well, I can't wrestle," and he said, "Believe it or not, people say the same thing about me."
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a really sweet video where he has to explain the "you can't see me" thing because apparently her
Okay.
grandchildren were. I'm watching John Cena explain the concept of, and you can tell it's written on his face how ridiculous it is when you actually explain it to someone who has no context to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I love it. It's John Cena's such a great person too.
Yeah, yeah, he does a lot of good stuff,
He has
even on
so
the
much.
outside. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never cut anybody up that works with like Make a Wish, especially to the degree that he does. Like even I might criticize a storyline, even though I really don't have a problem with anything John Cena ever did on television. There's stuff that's easy to
Oh,
poke fun at, but I mean it was all pretty good, at least what I saw.
mhm.
There might have been some stuff in that PG era that were a little questionable, but John Cena was always kind of appealing to the younger audience anyway. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, post rapper John Cena.
yeah.
It's,
Thugonomics.
we
Yeah.
gotta remember.
Yeah.
Hey, that song is way better than it should be. I'm not gonna
Oh,
lie.
it is. I have it right now on my phone.
It's
I listen
it's
to it.
it's in my
Yeah.
playlist. I listen to Basic
Yeah.
Thugonomics.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed. It's a good song. I'm just saying
It
it's
is.
better than it should be.
Yeah.
I actually say
It's,
I say a lyric from that song all the time. I'm like, it's like a broken needle. You're missing the point
oh yeah, yeah, that
because
is
it's
a
clever.
lyric.
It's good.
Yeah.
I don't say it rapping though. I say it like
Yeah.
I think my favorite one I saw was like, "Man, you must be a broken needle." And I was like, "What?" It's like I said, "You must be a broken needle." What does that mean? It's like because you're missing the point. And he just kind of looked at me like, "Huh?" And I'm like, "Okay, you don't watch wrestling."
Exactly.
Because somebody who watched wrestling would just be like, "Ah."
Uh-huh.
And if they were really a wrestling fan, they would have looked me dead in the eye and gone, "Talking that way is a good way to get referred to in the past tense." I
It has
flipped
to be like
when
one of my top five songs or
yeah
theme songs.
I flipped when LA Knight dropped that one. I was amazed how many people didn't catch the reference.
I didn't. I didn't. Wait, I didn't catch it until they said it, to
Oh,
be
I did.
honest.
Immediately, I was like, well,
Yeah.
because Cena was in the ring. So, I mean, obviously he did it on purpose, but I thought it was a planned
Yeah.
thing. Apparently, he came
Uh-huh.
up with it. Apparently, he came up with it kind of in the moment,
Yeah.
which I love that they're allowed to do now. So, thank you, AEW, for that at least. Although, I'll be honest, I kind of have a sneaking suspicion that that was going to happen eventually anyway. I think it got a head start because of AEW, but Vince was always going to leave, right? TKO was, I'm pretty sure TKO was always going to buy WWE.
Yeah, I have a suspicion that was the plan no matter what.
And Vince was always going to get sued for shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was always going to happen. So again, it may have taken another 10 years, but I think it was always going to happen.
To be honest, I'm surprised it took this long. 'Cause there's so many allegations and so much
Unfortunately,
proof.
unfortunately, when you have the kind of money Vince McMahon has,
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you can just, you can stall like crazy.
Yeah.
If for no other reason, he's gonna be able to like not necessarily hide his money, but he's gonna be able to just acquire a bunch of assets so that his funds are non-liquid, and it's just gonna help
Yeah.
him be able to. Well, I'm not. I don't know what could help him honestly, because again, like you said, the Mount Everest of evidence against him.
Yeah, it's and it's something with CM Punk said. He said he's shocked that Vince even
How
like had it
stupid.
on text.
Yeah.
Yeah, how stupid are you to text that stuff? So am I. I
Well,
thought he was
there.
smarter.
Vince McMahon. You can't say that Vince McMahon was never guilty of hubris because I mean
Yeah,
it's he legitimately in his mind, I'm sure, and again, never met Vince McMahon, but I've heard a lot of people that have tell stories about him and they all seem to be pretty
yeah.
similar. So Vince McMahon is somebody who I'm pretty sure never even considered that he would,
Someone would take him down that
yeah,
way.
somebody would take him down that way exactly. I mean, some of the allegations just make that apparent, like what was going on at the office, what was going on. Like, I'm not even going to get into it because I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
if you know, you know, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, I think Punk probably put it the best is what he said there is like I can't believe he ruined his life. I can't believe he was so stupid.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean
and like tarnish his
it's
legacy.
it's like
Like
pay hookers like a normal person. You got the money.
yeah.
I mean, come on. But that and to be fair, we don't really know the other side of the story, and it'll come out as the case progresses. But I mean, based on the evidence that I saw, I mean, I saw some of the text messages.
I've seen a lot of the text
I
messages,
kind of wish I
and
hadn't.
yeah, yeah. None of them are good. But you're right. At that same point, I don't see her text messages either. I never saw something she sent back. It could be just as bad. So who knows?
And I want to be clear. I want to be clear. I'm
Yeah,
not taking up for Vince McMahon. But what I
yeah.
am saying is that there's always two sides to a story, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
and you do see it. I mean, you see it with Elon Musk too. Like there are allegations made against wealthy people
Uh-huh.
all the time. Most of
Yeah.
them turn out to be money grabs because most of them just get settled out of court because it's actually cheaper to just give them a
Yeah. Sweep
payout.
it away. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
just just get rid of it. That's why I never really take these allegations seriously at first. I always say the
Hmm.
same thing. I'm like, well, let's see what the evidence says. And I think it's very important distinction between criminal and civil cases. Like we would talk about this on average intelligence all the time when we're talking about
Hmm.
Trump, right? Is
Uh-huh.
the burden of proof in a civil case versus a case is night and day. Just because
Uh-huh.
someone is found liable in a civil case does not, in fact, actually mean that they did it. It usually does, but sometimes it's literally just the reasonable doubt burden of proof is not there in a civil case. It is much more about whichever side can kind of present the best case. And then the judge is kind of
Uh-huh.
like, it seems this way. Whereas in a criminal case, if you cannot definitively prove to a jury that beyond a reasonable doubt this happened, they usually aren't convicted.
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
that's unfortunately that's the reality of a civil case, which is why
mhm.
getting sued sucks because you can know in your heart that wait a minute, what happened? What what's going on? It just went black. Is it black on your end?
Yeah, it is.
What the?
Hmm.
I don't know
That's weird.
what's going on. Oh, okay. I think we're back. I think. If anybody's watching, can you confirm? Because we're back on my end.
Still a black screen of mine.
Yeah, there is a delay, but I can see my screen again. There we go. Okay, yeah, we're back.
Okay.
We're back.
Yep. It's back.
Sorry about that. That was weird. That's never happened before. That's live TV, pal. So speaking of though, that just reminded me, speaking of Vince and shit, um, there was a fair amount of fecal matter on Monday Night Raw for a little while, if you recall. So I'm not saying Vince I'm not saying Vince has a thing for poop, but
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just saying
It was part of big storylines, a lot of storylines.
I see dots and they're really close to each other and it looks like a giant turd. So maybe, maybe. I wonder if people said that about Jeffrey Dahmer. It's like, he did like his steak pretty rare.
uh,
I mean, I'm not saying it's like,
yeah,
connected. I'm just saying it kind of fits.
yeah, there were signs.
Mistakes were made. Why did why does he carry around Ambien all the time? Terrible. God. Oh. Why does Vince always have laxatives? I'm old, pal. Why does Tony always have caffeine? Let's stay awake and write the show.
That's literally how he looks.
I mean, that's how. There's a reason all the Jim Cornette experience thumbnails show him like with
Yeah,
bug eyes. I mean, there's a
yeah,
reason.
yeah, yeah. Coke up, Tony. Yeah.
Hey, it's Adderall. Um, would you? Because I'm not gonna lie to you. I would watch this match. I mean, it'll never happen, and I don't think it could happen. Would you watch Vince McMahon versus Tony Khan? Because
In the
I would.
match,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, of course, of
Oh,
course.
I would.
Yeah.
However, you know what we might see that might be kind of fun? We might get to see Shane McMahon in an AEW ring. Watch him get hurt too. I kid. Swerve Strickland can save All Out this time. I mean, I'll be honest. I kind of do hope that Shane comes to AEW because I think he can help.
Yeah, honestly, after I saw the documentary, like it made me like Shane a lot more now. Like I never
Oh,
hated him, but I do
yeah,
like
but
him more now.
geez, now I really want to watch it because I mean Shane has always kind of
Yeah,
been ingratiated with the fans because even when they were doing the whole McMahon's versus DX thing,
yeah,
Shane would still get positive reactions from the crowd because I think
yeah,
I think they always appreciated the fact that Shane would do the crazy shit in the ring,
yeah,
and would put his body on the line for that. And I think he will kind of always have that, feeling of goodwill with
yeah,
wrestling fans because I don't think Shane ever. There were times when his dad kind of even patronized wrestling fans or maybe even looked down on them to a certain extent. I don't think Shane ever did.
uh,
Maybe in
I don't either.
character, maybe in character, but I don't think he
Yeah,
ever really did. Um,
no, there's too many people who really like him, and they say that's the reason why of his downside that he was too nice to be McMahon. But they
oh,
say
I
a lot
can
of them
see.
took
Well,
advantage
I
of that.
mean, Stephanie kind of has the same relationship now because nowadays people
Uh-huh.
know what she's done behind the scenes
Hmm.
and how much she actually cares and how much she actually, fought for people and things, over the years.
Uh-huh.
So I think Stephanie again is another one of those people that at this point, because even I mean, I know a lot of people really shit on the era of the Authority, but I'm not gonna lie to you, I liked it. I thought that was one of the few good things that was going on at the time.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I didn't like them, so I guess I like it worked.
I was gonna say,
You
I guess
know.
it worked. Yeah, I'm sorry. Corporate Triple H was the thing that corporate heel Triple H was the thing that I liked,
Yeah. Put it this way, I hate him the worst, but
but he was
he
doing his
showed.
job.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But yeah,
It's not like Corporate Kane where you just hate it because you want it off your television.
yeah, yeah. I felt sorry for him, to
I
be
think
honest.
that
I'm
was the
like,
point,
come
honestly.
on.
In hindsight, now that it's over, I think that was
Uh-huh.
honestly the point. I think you were supposed to feel sorry for him. I think that's what they were
Yeah.
going for. Um, but we also learned that Phil Brooks has a hell of a Triple H impression.
Oh, he does.
Yeah, they did a promo with him when they were doing the Authority thing, and Punk is like, "How many times have you turned to your
Oh
wife in bed at
yeah.
night?" And he was
How
like,
could I
"Well,
forget that?
I just don't
Like,
think he has what it takes."
oh yeah. How could
I'm
I
like,
forget that part?
which
Yeah.
I don't think he was expecting that because he kind of was
Yeah,
holding
yeah,
back a chuckle a little bit.
yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lie, like if somebody had hit me with an impression of me that way, I would have been like, I'm like, damn, that's really good.
Yeah.
But you do wear her panties though, don't you? That was such a great promo.
Yeah.
CM Punk's promos are always gold. Every now and again, I still go back and watch the pipe bomb because
It's
it's so
that
good.
good. Yeah.
He had some good ones in AEW too. I kind of wish he'd been able to come out. Although his "Tell Me When I'm Telling Lies" promo,
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to say that was on the level of the pipe bomb, but I mean, I think it had the same effect for that crowd.
It did. It was their version at that moment, you know.
Yeah, it's true though. I mean, heck, that's a phrase that I picked up. Tell me when I'm telling lies because
Uh-huh.
it hits just right because
Yeah.
nobody said shit.
Yeah.
What do
Him
you?
and MJF was pretty good.
Oh, those I don't know. Would you
Yeah,
count
those
those as
promos.
promo? I guess you would count those as promos.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, those were gold.
yeah.
I went back and watched a couple months ago. I went back and watched it, and I'm like, God, it's so good. It still holds up.
It does. It
I
kind
didn't.
of made me hate the way MJF is booked now, or the way he is
Oh, it's
now.
terrible now. And
You know.
the thing is, I told y'all. Well, we told y'all
Yeah.
you're
It's
loving babyface MJF now. And you won't because they won't be able to get him out of it because they won't be able to get him out of it without making him look like an idiot. And guess what?
yeah.
They
I
had to
know.
make him look like
It's
an idiot.
I did hate the part where he always would say, "Oh, the 2024 bidding war." I
But see
hate that
that I liked.
because yeah, yeah. No, I hate it because I knew when it came to 2024, he wasn't going nowhere. So like, it's like
Hmm.
I at first I thought he was, but later on I was like, I don't think he's gonna actually go to WWE at the moment.
No, because there's more he can do. Well, I'll be honest. I think maybe the reason, and if this is true, God, that would be so shitty. Maybe the reason they booked him so bad is to keep him from going to WWE.
Could be lower his stock.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Yeah,
if I hope that's not true. But if it
yeah,
was, well, we'll hear about it eventually if it was true, because we'll get that WWE
yeah.
documentary
It
after.
has happened, like
Oh, of
on
course it
both
has.
sides. No, so yeah,
Yeah,
so it's
I
a
wouldn't
common
be.
thing.
But to be fair, another consideration though is MJ's looking at it is like, listen, I think he'd do great in WWE, but at the same time, in WWE, MJF would he'd be high up, but he'd still be kind of a cog in the machine because that's the nature of that company. There's only a
Yeah,
handful of people that are kind of above the wheel, so to speak. Whereas in AEW, MJF gets to do whatever the hell he wants at this point.
yeah, that's true.
Like, if he wants to wrestle somebody, by God, he's going to wrestle him. You know, he'll do
Yeah,
the occasional favor for Tony because I bet you anything MJF's actually a really nice guy. Don't tell anybody I said that. I don't want to ruin the I don't, kayfabe, brother, kayfabe.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I mean, the thing is, we've seen him do so many things in the ring that made his opponent look good.
yeah, yeah.
So,
And he wrestled other people that's like below his level in a way,
yeah,
So like Daniel Garcia, you don't expect them to, be in the same ring, but you know, they are now. I think they're in a
not
feud right
yet,
now. Yeah,
not yet. But I still have faith in Daniel Garcia. I think he's being given some really, really bad advice, but people
yeah,
like him. I'm sorry, anybody who actually let him do this thing.
yeah.
I mean, the thing is, you're not even at Fandango level yet, and we know what happened with him.
Oh,
So,
that hurts.
no, you're saying it wrong. Ah, ah, mm.
I actually liked him. He was pretty good.
Be, I'll tell you why you liked him. It's the same reason I liked him because he committed to the bit.
I, absolutely. Yeah.
That's the thing. It was stupid, but the minute
Mhm.
you wink at the audience is the minute the whole thing has no shot. It's the same reason I like Tyler Breeze because he was just doing a Zoolander impression,
Oh
but
yeah,
he
yeah,
committed to the bit.
yeah. And I got to see him like do other interviews and outside the character, like themselves. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, but that's the irony though, is because Tyler Breeze, talking about him, he
Mhm.
did that character because he was told that he was going to get fired unless
Yeah,
he could turn it around. And sometimes you need a character because you could have, and I'm a fan of Tyson Kidd. However, I said the first time I saw him, I said he's never going to go above the mid card because he's got Kidd in his name, which that was a mistake. Um,
yeah.
and he wrestles extremely well, but he's not particularly memorable. He doesn't come on screen and you go, "Oh, who's that dude?"
I really liked him,
I
but I
liked
knew
him. I liked
I
him a
was in the
lot.
niche category, But
Wrestling fans liked him because he was great in the ring.
yeah, yeah, he
Eh,
was.
But as far as somebody watching television, he's not a head turner.
Oh no, no, not at all. I
And
knew
that,
he wasn't going to like put butts in seats. You know, no one was coming there to see him.
yeah, I was really sad when I heard about his injury and he had to retire. I was like, that
Yeah,
fucking
yeah, I was. Yeah,
sucks. That because that sucks. But yeah, I think he's
it
a
had had the
producer, right?
worst time. Yeah, he
Yeah, it
is.
really did. I like the fact that he and Claudio are still friends, though.
Yeah, yeah,
I do
yeah.
like that
They
because
seem to
he,
really get along.
well,
Yeah.
Claudio got the blessing to use the sharpshooter from him. So
Oh,
on
cool, cool.
screen, on screen, I don't know,
Mhm.
but I'm sorry, but when somebody from the Heart Dungeon tells you, yeah, you can use a sharpshooter, I take that as legitimate.
Yeah.
It may not have been Bret Hart, but I mean,
It's
he is
close
married.
enough.
He is married to
Yeah.
Natalia.
Yeah.
You know, just food for Natty is somebody else too who I think has never gotten a fair shot, and I would make the case that she is a head turner. Her and Dana Brooke, not necessarily to the same level, but kind of have the same problem.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I
I
remember
like Dana more now than
well, I
like in TNA.
I remember when Dana was coming into NXT and they did all these like vignettes about how she's like competitive bodybuilder, like
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
blah 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 blah. They made her seem like such a big deal, and in NXT she was, and then she goes to the main
Yeah.
roster, and they just kind
She
of
was
like,
a joke.
eh. I always liked Dana Brooke.
Her best match I ever saw was between her and Nia. It was actually a really good
I
match.
remember that match,
Surprisingly, I wanted her to win. She was that good.
and they built it
But
up right too, because that was,
yeah,
if correct me if I'm wrong, that was around the time where she was like on air going like, listen, I know they're treating me like a joke here, but I'm.
yeah, yeah. And it showed. Like she was really fighting that match. Like it was real.
It was a great match. I was gonna say I
Yeah.
remember that match. It was
Hmm.
phenomenal. I was really disappointed when they didn't really go anywhere
Yeah. It
after
was
that.
just after that. I'm surprised they didn't let her go though. Like
I thought she was on her way out at that point, and I was like, cool. At the
me too.
time, I was like, she can go to AEW and
Hmm.
at least get a month of on television. No, that was before it really got bad in the AEW women's
Yeah, it
division, but
was. It was. It
it
was.
was smaller back then.
Yeah. It was still like good indie wrestling.
Well, because I mean, your big heavy hitters there would have been like Britt Baker, like not Nia Jax, Nyla Rose was still a
Nyla
big deal.
Rose.
Sheeta was a big deal. Serena
Yeah.
Deeb was actually on TV every now and again.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Britt was your. I'm Statlander. Obviously, Statlander was there, and she
Yeah.
was.
She was doing the alien thing though.
And
So it was like,
Riho. Can't forget about
uh,
Riho.
yeah.
No matter how much we'd like to.
I think she's. Oh, I think she left.
No, I think
She
I
went. Oh, she didn't. Oh,
hang on. Let's
what
look
she
because I
thinking?
I think she's still Well, then what was she thinking? She was thinking paycheck. What was Tony thinking?
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, let's make a 98-pound soaking wet woman our first ever women's champion. That
it
seems like
makes
a
no sense.
fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Oh, should I be concerned their website's not working? Come on. That would be hilarious. Like, this website is down. Oh, that scared me for a minute because like your background took over for a second. All I saw was Vince McMahon.
Oh.
I was like, yeah. Oh wow, I totally forgot Mercedes Monet is still there. Come on, let's get down to the ladies. Let's get down to the ladies. Where are the ladies? There are the ladies. Who am I looking up again? Oh, Riho. So she's gonna
Yeah.
be. Well, the fact that
Oh,
Emi
she's
Sakura.
5'1". I never knew she was
Oh
that
wow,
short.
oh, I thought she was shorter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did. Okay, come on. Where's Riho?
You're
Oh,
right. She
hang
does
on.
weigh 95 pounds.
Oh, there she is. There's Riho. Nope, Riho's still there for some reason.
Oh, okay. I thought she went back to Stardom for a bit.
I think they have like a partnership agreement or something, but yeah, Yuka Sakazaki's still there too, even though I don't think we've seen her in quite a while.
Oh, yeah.
Which I never really had a problem with her, but they never had her do anything
Same.
overly dumb either.
No. No, not really.
And honestly, like I just gotta say this, Maki Ito is somebody that I try not to like, but I just can't help it.
Oh, I like it. Oh, I like her. Yeah, I do. It's
Like
the
it's
prettiest girl in the world or something.
listen, it's dumb. It's dumb as shit. But again, she commits to the bit.
Yeah, I think I bought one of her shirts.
I'm sorry, the falling headbutt finisher,
Yeah.
it gets me every time. And I want to go back because apparently Brian Last talks on the Jim Cornette podcast about his favorite AEW segment was apparently it was this big like 8 women tag that just devolved into absolute chaos. And one of the things was Maki Ito at the time, her interest was her actually singing her entrance theme.
It was. It
And
was.
and the match starts and she finishes the song
Yeah.
as just devolves into complete chaos. And he was like, it was the greatest, worst AEW segment ever. He's like, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one I remember because I watched it and I remember just thinking, what the hell? Like, was this done on purpose? Like,
It had to
surely
be.
something
I
just
hope
broke
so.
down. Like, well, no, I mean, I hope it wasn't on purpose. I'm like, surely something just broke down. Like, just somebody missed their mark and everybody else just started improvising and it just devolved. Like, if this was done deliberately, oh my God. Oh, now I want to watch it. But any other final thoughts, or shall we let the people leave it at that?
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah.
God. So, yeah, any final thoughts on AEW making wrestling better or worse, or shall we let the people rest with that image of Vince McMahon staring into their soul?
Yeah. I still say they did make it better in some ways. You know,
Even if
it's
it wasn't
another
on purpose.
avenue. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's another avenue for income, so that's always a plus. And we get to see new faces that I
Yeah,
never thought we never saw before. You know,
that's
Darby
big.
Allin,
Yep,
that you know.
yep, that's big.
So
Hey, it is worth noting that the Reese's Cup was a mistake. So
it was.
yeah,
Oh. Oh,
Wait, was it? No, I think I'm wrong. I think I just mixed that up with a joke from the TV show Dinosaurs.
oh, you used to
Wow,
watch dinosaurs? I used to love
dude,
that
I
show.
love that show. I own that show on DVD, my friend, and it's on
I
Disney
have
Plus.
the toys from it when I was a kid.
No, you
Yeah,
do? You still have them?
yeah,
Or you had?
the baby or something. Remember the baby, with the yellow shirt? Yeah,
Yeah.
I have the toys and the father, Fran, and yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So,
that's a show. That's a show that was, don't get me wrong, that show was hilarious as a kid. It's 1,000 times funnier as an adult.
oh yeah, it
It
is,
is
and it's so sad.
way
The ending, like
they
I
had they
didn't
had
realize how it was.
they had like two sad episodes, but honestly the whole thing was just hilarious.
Yeah, it
Eh,
was.
I'll be honest, as an adult, I rewatched it as an adult and I'm like, how did this get on television for a children's show? Because like there's overt references to smoking weed, there's overt references to
Yeah,
steroids. Like they call them noids, and it's like every adult in the room knows exactly what's going on, and the kids apparently were clueless. Um,
I was. I had
I
no
was.
idea.
I didn't even remember that episode. And then I watched it as an adult.
Yeah,
I'm like,
me either.
how was this? How was this on television?
I have to rewatch
Like, holy crap!
that.
And then like the episode where Robbie thinks he's a vegetarian.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Man, I love dinosaurs. That was my show.
That show was clever as hell.
Yeah, it was.
Uh,
The
it
good
was good.
days, the good times.
There's whispers of a revival, and I'll be honest, I hope it happens. I think that would be tremendous.
I hope it happens if it's the same or similar
I
and
th-
not
you'd have
something like so different.
Yeah,
You
you'd
know?
have to be similar. And honestly, if you're not going to do the animatronics, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do
It,
CGI. Don't. Come on, because that was the charm of the show, was the
it was.
puppetry. Like the
Mhm.
fact that a puppet is doing like the eyebrow raise expressions, like
Yeah.
that's what made it
Yeah.
charming. If it's CGI, it's just another show.
I'm a fan of Jim Henson. I used to love the
Who
Muppets
isn't?
and
Who
Muppet
isn't?
Babies. So I love all that stuff. I
Is Jim Henson Company even still do stuff like new stuff? Because I know they still do the Muppets here and every now and again, but
have no idea.
I'll be honest, I kind of wish that there would be sort of a return to form for like the practical effects in movies. More like, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, CGI is not going away, and it can be a wonderful tool. But
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
see, to me though, I still think, for example, speaking of Jim Henson, I'll do this diatribe and then we'll get off because now we're diverting.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
I forgot. This is
I, s-
wrestling.
yeah, I still think the 1991 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie is more realistic looking than the Michael Bay
Oh,
ones.
oh yes, by
Because it
far.
was. Because
It
it was
was.
real.
It was by far.
There were dudes
Like
in those suits doing the moves. There was no computer generated imagery in any of those movies. Even
I'm
the
a
fire
major
was
Ninja
real.
Turtles fan.
Oh hell
Like I
yeah,
have the
brother.
toys. I
Internet
have
high five.
yeah, I have every single toy they ever had. The car or the
The
I
Turtle
still
Man, yeah.
have it. Yeah, I
Still
still
have
have
it.
it. The phone. It was like a flip phone with a
Oh, the
turtle
Turtle
shell.
Communicator, yeah.
I have that still.
Isn't that wild that yeah, that because that was in the 80s.
Yeah, that was
And
before cell phones even existed or even dawned
well,
on
it
it.
widespread, certainly.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That was
Because
some
it has Saved by the Bell.
Star Trek level shit.
Yeah, that's true.
The fact that it was a flip phone, that was clearly somebody was a fan of Star Trek. But anyway, now
Yeah.
we're really diverting. So uh check out the Goosebumps Crew podcast, especially if you like the nostalgia talk, you'll enjoy that show. And then check out Casa de la Zissa for your musica calig I don't want to say Caligula, Caligia. That's a different word. That's got a lot. That's a
I
way
know it
different
is.
meaning. Yeah, that's a totally different. That's a different school, folks. That's a totally
Don't
different.
Google it.
That's a different Caligia. But anyway, yeah, we're just gonna sign off now. But
Sure.
this has been down the middle.